Hi everyone, and welcome back to Maths and Physics, Mr. Simons. In this lesson now, we're looking at the exam question using a reduction formula. So we have one to test reduction formula, and the next one testing via the angles using reduction formula. Right? So simplify to single trig ratio. So in short, we want you to take the problem as given there, and it must either be sine, cos, or tan, just one. It can't be all of them combined. So there I've given you 5 problems. You can pause here, write it down, try to solve it and see how you fare. But there we have sine theta minus 180, tan 360 minus theta, 90 minus theta divided by cos squared theta plus 180. Number 2, cos squared 90 minus theta, tan 180 minus cos 180 plus sine. The rest I assume you can read. So I'm going to be solving these 4 problems and going through it to see. You can see how well you understand the 8 videos on reduction and whether you can solve these problems. Right? There the cast rule, just to refresh. Quadrant 1 is 360 plus theta, theta minus 360 and 90 minus theta. In quadrant 2, we have minus theta minus 180, 180 minus theta, 90 plus theta. Quadrant 3, 180 plus theta, negative theta minus 90, and 270 minus theta, but that one we're not going to use. 360 minus theta, 270 plus theta, and we have negative theta in the fourth quadrant, right? So let's look at problem number 1. We assume you remember cast rule. All items are positive there, sine positive there, tan positive there, cos positive there. Ne? So problem number 1, simplify the following. So sine theta minus 180, tan 360 minus theta, sine 90 minus cos squared theta minus 180. So theta, which is in the first quadrant, minus 180 would take me to the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, sine is negative, so it becomes negative sine theta. 360 minus theta is in the fourth quadrant. In the fourth quadrant, tan is negative. And please ensure that you put that negative in the bracket. We don't multiplication and negative next to each other. So separate that. Sine 90 minus theta, co-function, first quadrant, 90 will change sine to cos. The first quadrant, everything is positive. For the bottom, theta plus 180. Right, so if I plus 180, I go to the third quadrant. Third quadrant cos is negative. It becomes negative cos theta, but the square goes outside. Right, so from here, assume you can see negative times negative would become a positive. So that is how I get rid of the negative. And we assume you know tan theta equals sine theta over cos theta. That's called a quotient identity. So whenever I see cos, I'm going to write tan as sine over cos. So that tan became sine over cos times the cos. And then negative times negative become positive, and that cos theta times cos theta becomes cos squared theta. So from here, cos and cos cancels. And I'm left with sine theta times sine theta over cos squared. That gives me sine squared theta. Sine times sine becomes sine squared over cos squared. And sine over cos is tan, so sine squared over cos squared then becomes tan squared theta. And there I have my single trig ratio. All right. Problem number 2, we have cos squared 90 minus theta, tan 180 minus theta, cos 180 plus theta over sine 180 minus theta. So 90 minus falls in the first quadrant. In the first quadrant, everything is positive, but cos there would become sine. So that becomes sine squared theta. For tan, 180 minus theta is in the second quadrant. In the second quadrant, tan is negative. So that becomes negative tan theta. Cos 180 plus theta falls in the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, cos is negative. So that becomes negative cos theta. Sine 180 minus theta, second quadrant, sine is positive. So that simply stays sine theta. Whenever I see tan next to cos, I'm going to write tan as sine over cos. So that becomes sine theta over cos theta. And again, I multiply the negatives away. Negative times negative become positive. All right. So from there, cos and cos cancels. I'm left with sine theta times sine squared theta, which gives me sine cubed theta divided by sine theta. And if I divide, 3 minus 1 would then give me sine squared theta, right? So there's my single trig ratio. Right, I hope you follow. Problem number 3. So simplify cos squared 180 minus x, tan squared 360 plus x, sine squared 180 minus x. So 180 minus x, second quadrant, cos is negative, so it becomes negative cos x in brackets, squared goes outside. 360 plus x is in the first quadrant. In the first quadrant, everything is positive, so that becomes tan x squared. All right. 180 minus x, second quadrant, sign is positive, so it becomes sine squared x. Again, tan squared x would become sine squared x over cos squared x, and then negative times negative become positive, cos squared x. Cos squared x and cos squared x cancel, so I'm left with sine squared divided by sine squared x, which then equals 1. Alright, so hope you follow. Alright, number 4, we have sine 180 plus x times cos negative x divided by tan negative x plus sine x minus 360 times sine x minus 180. So 180 plus x is in the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, sine is negative. So it becomes negative sine x. Cos negative x, that falls in the fourth quadrant, negative angles. So therefore, cos becomes positive cos x. Tan negative x in the fourth quadrant, tan is negative, so therefore that becomes negative tan x. X minus 360, x being in the first quadrant, acute angle. And if I rotate 360, I end up back where I started, so therefore that stays positive sine x. X minus 180 falls in the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, sine is negative, so therefore that becomes negative sine x. Right, so from here we have now negative divided by negative will give me a positive, so I got rid of the negative. Sine x times cos x, and tan x I'm going to write as sine x over cos x. There, positive times negative gives me negative. Sine x times sine x gives me sine squared x. Right, division I'm going to change to multiplication. If I change that to multiplication, I have to invert the bottom fraction, so that becomes cos x over sine x. Alright, so I have sine x cos x over 1 times cos x over sine x minus sine squared x. From here, sine x and sine x will cancel, and I'm left with cos x times cos x minus sine squared x. So now I have cos squared minus sine squared. It's two trig ratios. So to make it 1, I bring in the square identity, so I can write sine squared as 1 minus cos squared x. So that gives me cos squared x, negative times negative becomes plus. So cos squared x plus cos squared x gives me 2 cos squared x minus 1. So this is how we test it in exams. I hope you followed, enjoyed. Please use what you've learned here to go practice more. Alright, if you have a problem, feel free to post it to me so that I can solve it for you. And I wish you nothing but the best on your journey becoming stronger and better in mathematics. God bless. Bye.